coming up later in the hour, Joseph Curl, who is one of the main correspondents to the White House coverage for the Washington Times. He was at the debate last night. He's going to be joining us coming up in about 30 minutes to give us his take on what happened. Look, I know it's a dog and pony show, and both guys are bought and paid for pretty much by the same interest, but Crowley absolutely interrupted. Obama interrupted. It was like watching a fight where one boxer is allowed to have a horseshoe in their gloves, basically. It was like watching a dirty fight. Romney still won, but it was disgusting watching him sit there and make excuses about his assault weapons ban and stuff. But it was scary watching Obama get all excited about banning semi-autos. That's what he called for. Ban on assault rifles. That's all semi-autos is what that list. And saying also they want to just take your guns extrajudicially, just saying you're mentally ill. Because that's how they're really going to go after it, is just outside of law, as they've done with the EPA, shutting down power plants or land grabbing, or saying NATO runs our military. They just do it extra legislatively, extrajudicially, outside of law. It's called dictatorial. And when somebody does that a lot, you call them a dictator. Yeah, that's where that term comes from. So, I mean, it's really Creepville. And I'm not someone easily manipulated. In fact, I was sitting there watching the debate last night, and I don't believe in lesser of two evils, but I just have this feeling, which is based in all the different facts, that it's immoral to just sit here and say, oh, they're all bad, I'm not going to support either one of them. Because what Joseph Farah has said, and he's on the show Friday, this is so bad. He didn't support John McCain 4 years ago. He wrote the book, Neither of the Above. But there's this feeling that Obama's got things in store. Well, the re-education camps, that is Obama's people. That globalist management crew, that flavor of poison. In fact, one of our great graphics people, he doesn't like getting credit, so I won't plug his name. Maybe a street name. He's a well-known street artist here in Austin. He did a big graphic for the upcoming magazine, but I think we're going to get that, show that later. And it's a double-barreled Derringer. One says Obama, one says Romney, pointed at America's head. It's a guy wearing red, white, and blue. And that's true to a certain extent, but it's kind of like Obama's this howitzer cannon. And then there's a smaller cannon that's Romney. But do you just let it all get really bad? And, okay, well, worse is better. Let's get Obama in. Certainly would be good for my radio show, at least in the short term. People kind of go to sleep if Romney gets in. But I'm still like, man, I don't want Obama in there. And I'm being honest about that. That's what I'm feeling personally from all the different facts. And I'm against the whole left-right paradigm. I know Romney's bad. He's terrible, globalist, Republican rhino, anti-Second Amendment, wrote the health care bill. I mean, I know he works for the same people. It's just with Obama, it's moving so fast. But maybe that's just because the globalists are moving fast, and Romney would do the same thing. And so it's kind of pick your poison. They got a gun to our head saying, well, drink strychnine or drink, arsenic. And both of them, at the levels they're trying to have us drink them, are poison. So I'm just being honest about the way I feel. What happened, with Ron Paul. I got mad at Rand Paul, not for endorsing Romney. I mean, I understand he's part of the Republican Party. He knows him. He promises to be pro-gun, anti-globalist, even though in the past his voting record's different. It was the Ron Paul minions, in the campaign, writing articles saying we shouldn't criticize the Bilderberg group anymore. And, the people that brought Ron Paul to where he is, we're conspiracy kooks. That's my issue there. Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure. And it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. We are going to have post-debate coverage here in detail. The Washington Times correspondent to the White House, Joseph Curl, will be joining us. He was at the debate last night to give us his take on what he saw. I'll be getting into the really big news as well today. Israel threatens Syrian intervention over chemical weapons, so they're back pushing that. U.S. troops via NATO are massing all around the country, and of course for at least 4 months have been on the ground in the 9-month conflict, aiding the jihadis that they're bringing in. The New York Times yesterday reported what we've been telling you for many, many months, that the main force is al-Qaeda and that they're getting arms. But they report it like, oh, we may have to do something about this, so that later they can then call for airstrikes on al-Qaeda after al-Qaeda's taken over the country. It's unbelievable. Just like they're now getting strikes ready with drones and special forces against al-Qaeda in Libya. The groups over a year ago, I said they were putting in. They confirmed they used en masse the main force out of Benghazi in the east into the rest of Libya. And now they're saying they're going to have a new invasion all over Africa, from North Africa to Central Africa, to stop al-Qaeda that the West put in. I mean, that is amazing that they think the public is that dumb they can get away with that. And you know what? A lot of the public is that ignorant. Not so much dumb, but ignorant. Willfully ignorant. They just, hey, there's a war, there's some bad guys over there. And we're like, yeah, but those bad guys work for the globalist, and they're taking our liberties in the name of fighting those bad guys, but then they're baiting and switching and using the whole police state on the American people. And saying returning veterans, gun owners, libertarians, that we're the main terror threat. And I told you that years ago. Now it's mainstream news. They're telling the cops, yeah, no, it's the veterans, it's the libertarians, it's people that don't like the New World Order. It's not that the New World Order doesn't exist now. It's that we're bad because we don't like it. So this is an authoritarian takeover. It is that simple. And we're going to be going over that as well. Huge economic news, huge no-fly list news. Preppers now being put on no-fly list. Got an article up at Infowars.com. London Independent has a very interesting article that I pretty much agree with in my basic historical analysis. Meet Mansa Musa of the African Empire, that in adjusted dollars would be the richest man in the world history. The richest king, richest person. And who's up number 2? The Rothschilds. Oh, with $350 billion. The Rockefellers with $340 billion. And the list just goes on and on. Of course, their wealth is actually much greater than that. I'm going to be breaking some of that down for you coming up today. The Rothschilds don't like this stuff being known. They sued a British newspaper, what, the Daily Mail, 2 years ago. The Daily Mail was saying that they were this giant kingpin organization and that had controlled all these Russian oligarchs and others and British politicians as their fronts, and had front companies. And they sued them, and the judge got mad and said, well, they've proven the case here in court, and basically threw out the Rothschild suit with prejudice and said that, hey, you lied to the court. I recently was sued, and the suit was thrown out with prejudice. I could sue them and then get big damages back when they do throw it out with prejudice, but I'm not doing that at this time, just because people that are in that type of, terrible situation, for whatever reason, have already basically done everything to themselves, It's just bizarre, the things that go on out there. But Rothschild suit thrown out with prejudice. Thrown out with prejudice. Because they really are. That was the headline that came out after they won the suit, was, one, by having it thrown out with prejudice, was, one, the rebut of the suit was, they really are, kingmakers, puppet masters. Puppet masters was the headline. So there you go. We're going to be breaking some of that down today here. Okay, top stories. Let me just get to it right now. Yes, the debate's a dog and pony show. Yes, big mega banks, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, you can go look at their contributors. The same groups are basically behind both men. But you've got different camps within those. You've got the George Soros, totally wants to ban guns, totally wants world government, wants the dollar to die, all on record, wants to shut down free speech in this country. Super authoritarian strain. Funds and runs Think Progress, Media Matters, White House transition chief, runs Media Matters. Memos came out 2 years ago. They want to destroy alternative media, anything that can resist them. And they see, the Drudge Report, things like that, Infowars.com, as the enemy. That's why they attack us incessantly. And it's very creepy. And it's like Joseph Farah of WorldNet Daily, WorldNetDaily.com said a few months ago here on the show. He said, look, I didn't vote for John McCain, and I said don't vote for him. They're all controlled. But he said, now we know Obama's moving so quick. He said, I'm going to support Mitt Romney. We know he's a globalist, but he doesn't have the history of going after people's free speech. And Joe Farah, from his connections, and he's in D.C., he's right outside there in Chantilly, been to their facilities, that we're going to be arrested or killed. And you've got the re-education camp documents now 4 months old that only foreign media picked up on. The Army has it on their own website. They use the term re-education camp. I mean, that is so sensational. Where is the New York Times? Where is the Washington Post? Re-education camps run by the Army. I showed you Army manuals yesterday here on air that say working with local police, taking over. Now they've got checkpoints on highways popping up with TSA and regular Army, regular Marines with heavy machine guns in the backs of Humvees aiming at cars. I mean, nothing to do with Al-Qaeda. All to do with us. What is government planning? And the word is that if Obama gets back in, there's going to be basically a big false flag, maybe even before, and that they plan to go after their opposition. That has always been the plan. Now, continuing here, ladies and gentlemen, you've got this whole backdrop happening. And I have attacked Mitt Romney. I'm not going to go and vote. Plus, there's no real voting in Travis County where I live. It's been proven certified a fraud many times. I've gone to the county commissioners. They've had the state board back in '98 admit it was fraud, but said it can just go forward. So there's no voting here anyways. Where I live. That's why we're under such UN tyranny. That's why we're the UN model city of how to take over government internationally, because Congress won't sell us out completely. They've just come in and taken over. I mean, it's just unbelievable the corporate looting they have here. Raising property taxes to give the money to the University of Texas, to give it to Formula One racetracks, to give it to sport. I mean, it's just unbelievable what I live under. But continuing here, we're sitting here watching all this tyranny unfold, and the question is, do you just want to let Obama drive it into high gear? Or do you want Mitt Romney to kind of slow it down a little bit, but you still keep rolling forward and everybody goes to sleep and then the tyranny solidifies? Or do you have Obama get back in and have it get really bad and hope people finally wake up out of their coma? I don't know, okay? I just know at an animal level, at an instinctive level, watching that rigged debate last night and watching Crowley, Aleister Crowley, up there, the moderator, or whatever her name is, whatever its name is, Candy Crowley, sit there and interrupt over and over again and lie and twist and dissemble. It was like watching two people in a boxing ring fighting another person. Even if you don't like the guy they're fighting, if there's two boxers attacking another boxer, you automatically are for the underdog. I mean, it's rigged. It's disgusting, and if America doesn't realize that was a rigged debate and Romney still barely won, I don't know what to say. I mean, again, it's not so much whether I'm for Obama or Romney. It's that the spectacle of how rigged the game is and how rigged the system is, and that the CNN-run debate was absolutely pro-Obama all the way, and there wasn't even the attempt to act like it wasn't completely partisanly skewed to the Democrats. you start asking, well, I mean, am I wrong to not be supporting Romney if the power structure doesn't want him in? Those are questions there. Like I said, I don't have voting. I live in Travis County. We don't have voting here. It's been proven. I'm run by the UN. I mean, I moved out of Travis County. It's a great county, wonderful place. I'm not knocking Austin, Texas. It's my favorite city in Texas. It's just that I have moved outside of it to at least have lower property taxes. They take property taxes here and also make you pay for abortions. It's part of the hospital district, only county in Texas that does that. So I've moved out of Austin. But still, I come into it, and it's weird to drive into a UN-occupied city. The UN brags that it's under UN control. We've done news reports and says that Austin is a UN city and that we're under UN control. I mean, I live in an occupied city by the UN itself, not just occupied America under the globalist and under the federal government itself sold out to the New World Order. I live in an actual occupied city. I'm always digressing because there's no teleprompters, there's no talking points. I've got just news stacked to the rafters. Coming up in the next segment, I'll start getting into it. Then Washington Times reporter, senior reporter, Joseph Curl that was there, he's going to be on. He's got his headline story I just tweeted out at Real Alex Jones. Crowley skews hard for Obama in disastrous presidential debate. And it was disastrous. I mean, it was Forbes is calling it sickening. Because there was so much interrupting and so much cheating by Obama and Crowley, and then they just basically threw themselves on him, trying to push him up against the ropes. I mean, it was a terrible boxing match, but they're the ones that did it. And we've got horrible, comments by Obama saying, yeah, he's coming after our guns. That's official. Wants to ban all semi-autos. And he wants to, outside of law, just ban people. Government says you're mentally ill. No judge, no jury, no. They just say it. You're on a list. You don't get guns. Like a no-fly list, a no-gun-buy list. And then you've got the lesser of two evils there. Cheerleading gun bans, Romney, totally disgusting. And then you've got all the death threats I haven't gotten to yet. That's top story over at drudgereport.com, also at Infowars.com. New death threats, and now the media is starting to pick it up.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
Joe Curl, Washington Times correspondent, at the debates last night. He'll be joining us to give us his take on it. And then we're going to get into the second hour, and I'll play, I don't want to just play clips. I'm going to play like 5, 6, 7, 8-minute chunks. We've got a couple chunks here where you can hear the whole assault weapons ban, restrict the Second Amendment, back and forth from both of them. And it tells you where the attempt to restrict the Second Amendment is going, and it's spot on from our analysis. So this is good intel. And then we've got, obviously, the big story. Crowley totally trying to throw the debate to Obama, and I think it's going to backfire on him if people have any brain cells left. We're starting to see that. Obama, like a little kid, or like a collectivist, says, isn't that true, Candy? And I noticed he kept waiting and going, go ahead, Governor, go ahead and say more, while he was trying to set him up. Because I knew back when he said in the Rose Garden, the day after the ambassador was killed, and the media made a huge, deal out of it, and both sides try to politically capitalize on it. I remember him just saying, we will not be deterred, we will not be scared by terror, in a long, rambling statement. But he had all his surrogates out on TV, and for 2 weeks, it was a big national story, you heard it, saying that, no, it was not a terror attack, it was not organized, it was a protest that got out of hand. And now Hillary's had to apologize, and they're saying it's al-Qaeda. I point out, well, why'd you put al-Qaeda in there to begin with? Why is that not being looked at? But the point is, Crowley said, no, Obama's right. Knowing that most people watching don't read newspapers, 23% now read newspapers, and that they just now believe that, ooh, Romney's an idiot. Romney got schooled. All because they're playing semantical games. And there are literally hundreds of articles. If you just type in, Obama says attack was terror. Mitt Romney says Obama didn't call Libya a terror attack. Get smacked down. That's the George Soros Huffington Post. Well, now AOL moved on up the chain. And it just goes on and on with headlines and articles saying, fact check, CNN, yep, Crowley was right and Obama was right. Next, they're going to tell you the moon's made of cheese. They can only get away with this because they've got a population that doesn't know anything. Anything. I mean, it was 2 weeks. I'm a radio talk show host. I do a nightly news show. I live news. And I got sick of the debate for 2 weeks, them saying, oh, this wasn't coordinated, this wasn't this wasn't that. On and on. I know talk radio listeners. You know this has been all that's been talked about pretty much in the last month. And for 2 weeks of it, they kept denying and saying it wasn't organized. Of course it was organized with big anti-tank guns and anti-aircraft guns and hundreds of guys and a huge pitched battle, Alamo-style deal. But they somehow are now spinning it that, oh, yeah, it was... this is the rewriting of history we're witnessing right now. It's amazing how this is done. So they're rigging this just like they rigged the debate. And again, I'm not here saying I love Mitt Romney. It's just to watch them gang up. She interrupted him. I've got the numbers here. What is it? 28 times? And she only interrupted Obama 9. I watched the debate. Those weren't really interruptions. That was shutting him down. In fact, Breitbart says it's 28 times. It was more than that. I mean, it was just it was like a lawyer interrupting somebody on the witness stand to where they can't even talk. Just objecting, and interrupting and confusing and dissembling and trying to get Romney off balance. I don't think it really worked overall, but it did cloud things. What's a squid do when it's scared? It squirts out ink. And it just tried to cloud everything and then lie to people. Here is the U.S. Ambassador Susan Rice to the UN, one of literally hundreds of clips of their minions, saying that it was not a coordinated terror attack. Here it is.
But based on the best information we have to date, what our assessment is as of the present is in fact what it began spontaneously in Benghazi as a reaction to what had transpired some hours earlier in Cairo, where of course, as you know...
and she says it over and over again, not a terror attack, not a terror attack. But now they always said it was a terror attack, and you just need to go back to sleep and drink your fluoride. Alex Jones here with a very important announcement for truth seekers. We've carried a lot of amazing films and books over the years on the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And out of all the titles we've carried, one stands out because it is just so chillingly convincing. And that's Dreams from My Real Father by Joel Gilbert, available at Infowars.com. This film exposes the fraud that Obama is like nothing I've seen. If you want to know who Obama's real daddy is, this is the film for you. Don't forget, your purchase supports our broadcast and our growing media network. You'll also find at InfoWarsShop.com, None Dare Call a Conspiracy by Gary Allen, the book that woke me up. We're also carrying Behind the Green Mask, UN Agenda 21 by Rosa Corey. This book is coffin nails to the globalist takeover. The Greater Good, the most professional and up-to-date film I've ever seen exposing the scourge that is vaccines. These titles and a lot more are all available at InfoWarsShop.com. We are here Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. That's 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, going out on XM 166 and also Infowars.com. Audio streams, as well as over 130 AM and FM affiliates, all of them absolutely precious because we are reaching millions and millions of new people every single week. Okay, so we've been breaking down the debate. And we've got Obama saying, yes, he wants to ban semi-automatics, period. He wants an assault weapons ban, and that he wants to be able to just say people are mentally ill. No judge, no jury, just put you on a no-gun-buy list that his former chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, said was one of their main goals 4 years ago in the campaign. So he is anti-gun. He wants your guns. He says, you have a right to a Second Amendment. That right is to turn your guns into the government. We're going to be getting into that in the next hour and playing large clips of the debate and breaking down Susan Rice, the ambassador of the UN, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, saying it was not terror. That was said by hundreds of surrogates. It was said all over the place until they got into Congress. And then Congress, people didn't want to lie under testimony from the State Department, so they said, yes, it was a coordinated, organized attack. Yeah, with anti-tank guns, anti-aircraft guns, hundreds of people. But Obama, in his Rose Garden speech, just said America will stand up, to terror. But he didn't call this terror. It was in a rambling speech about terror and about what happened there at the consulate, but saying that didn't appear to be coordinated. And Candy Crowley of CNN clearly tried to throw the entire thing to Obama. I mean, I was watching it. She interrupted 28 times to the 9 times that she interrupted Obama. Obama was constantly interrupting, constantly lying. It looked like 2 boxers against 1 boxer in some type of rigged fight. And I think it's starting to backfire on them. But none of the Huffington Post has their way in others. They're saying, quote, Romney got smacked down saying that Obama never said that it wasn't terror. For 2 weeks on record, it was a big national controversy. They said that it was not an act of terror. Now they're saying they never said that. And that it was terror all along. Just amazing how dumb they think we are.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.